Aloha, it's Paulina from Off-Grid Hawaii, and as you can tell from the title of this video and from these beauties over here, this video is going to be all about Rollinia. So if you follow us on Instagram or in real life, you'd know that this past season we harvested tons of Rollinia. Well, not quite tons, but 1,400 pounds to be exact. So if you bought Rollinia in October, especially from Hilo Market or Makut Market or the locavore store, there's a pretty high chance that it was one of ours, especially if it was a really good one. If it wasn't that good, it probably wasn't ours. Because of this abundance of Rollinia, we did get a lot of questions on our Instagram and in real life all about Rollinia. And in this video, we want to address those most pressing questions. We have organized this video into 6 questions that are pretty loaded with info, and we're gonna just answer them based on our 8 years of experience growing Rollinia trees on our property. So hopefully these questions can help you out if you want to be a Rollinia grower or a Rollinia eater. Okay, so the first question we get often is, what is it? Whenever we post pictures of it on Instagram or when we have it out selling it at a market, a lot of people don't know what it is, and the reason is because it's super rare to find it at grocery stores or pretty much anywhere. The reason why it's so rare is because it's very delicate and it bruises easily when transported. Rollinia is a tropical fruit that originated in Brazil along the Amazon, and it's in the Ananosea family, which includes other fruits such as soursop, cherimoya, custard apple. Really yummy fruits. It's a really delicious family. The flavor is really good. We're going to talk about that in another question, but basically that's it.
So the next question is, how do you grow it? The first thing you need to do is get a seed to plant. They're most commonly grown from seed, although you can do air layering and grafting if you want to go that route and get a clone from a really nice tree, like one that tastes really good. Otherwise, you can just take a seed from that fruit that tastes really good, and you can either start it in a pot or start it in the ground. We chose to do ours in pots. Took all the seeds from 2 different fruits and planted them in pots. They stayed there for about a year, some of them a little more, some less. But we've just found places in the yard where we wanted to plant them, and just within that year we put them all in the ground. They were about 2 feet when they were in the pots. So after we got them planted in the ground, we fertilized them and mulched them for about 2 to 3 years when they were young. Really haven't done much besides mulching them since. I would say this is one of the more hungry trees compared to other ones, so I would be sure to make sure they're well fed in the first 2 to 3 years and well mulched. Rollinia can grow anywhere from 300 to 3,000 feet in elevation as long as you get enough rainfall. They need lots of water. They really don't tolerate drought at all. Out of all of our trees, that has been the one that's been affected most when we get these like 1 to 2 month droughts. Everything else seems to do just fine, but the Rollinias can drop all their leaves and really get stressed out. One thing you want to do is make sure that you have a lot of mulch on the ground, and if you have to, water them by hand just to keep them alive. So an observation we had throughout the years is that all the ones we've grown, they're pretty much all over the property. The one behind me has seemed to grow the best, and the reason we think, we're not sure, but most likely the previous owner had a load of soil delivered here. So, when the truck delivers the soil, even if you take it all away, there's still some that's left and gets into all those cracks and stuff. So we think this tree has had more soil. This tip may only apply to people that live in this area of Hawaii where it's really rocky. Other places you may not even have this issue because you probably got plenty of soil. But here we've noticed the trees that have a little bit more soil are the ones that are doing better. The ones in the front, it's a lot more rocky over there, and those ones are kind of struggling a little bit more. They do still produce fruit, but not as much, not as often, and the trees just haven't grown as big down there.
So the next question that we often get is, how long does it take for the Rollinia trees to produce fruit? And to answer that, Our trees, we observed that they took about 2.5 to 3 years from the moment they were planted on the ground to produce their first fruit. Since we do have 21 trees, they've all been different. They've all kind of had different factors. But our best tree that has our favorite tasting fruit on it, it actually took over 4 years to start producing fruit. And when it started, it only put out like 1 or 2 fruits, but now it's putting out tons. That's the tree right behind me. We call it the lucky tree. So it can vary, but definitely it's a pretty early on producer of fruit. So we recommend people try planting Rollinia just because it does produce results quickly as long as you're taking care of the tree properly. So in terms of pollination, we've observed that black ants or different kind of ants tend to do a lot of pollinating on the flowers, as well as bees. There's probably other insects that can get in there. We've tried hand pollinating them. We had some success here and there with fruit set, but it was just so time consuming because the flowers become female and then they turn into male, and you have to collect the male pollen and then pollinate it. It's just too much. So let the insects do the pollinating and it works out great. For us, the black ants tend to do a really great job. So then how long from fruit set to actually being able to eat the fruit? Recently, I've observed that it takes about 4 to 5 months, depending on weather factors, from fruit set to fruit harvest. That would depend on how much rain and sun you're getting, and we're still kind of figuring that out, but it varies. The next question is, when are they in season? So in the literature that we've read as scholarly researchers, it says that between 1,000 and 3,000 feet elevation, they will tend to only be in season in the fall. But at lower elevations, they're more of a year-round producer. Now for us, we're at around 700 feet elevation, and we've found that we do tend to get the more heavier production in the fall, but we do still get fruits kind of year-round. I think that if we're able to manipulate our environment a little bit better, we could get more production throughout the year, with still having a really heavy autumn production. Yeah, so for the most part, our trees have been producing fruit for about 5 or 4 years so far. So it's kind of too early to tell, see long term what the production is going to be like, but we're excited to find out.
So the next question is, when are they ready to harvest? These ones right here, not ready yet. They're all green. Their spikes are still very hard. They haven't like popped out at all. So these ones here aren't ready, but we have one over here that is ready. So you can tell this one is ready here because it's turned yellow. This is actually a really, really nice one. The spikes are still a little bit hard, but it's yellow. I wouldn't quite eat this one yet. This one is actually pretty good to bring to market, or we sell to vendors as well. So bringing something like this gives them a few days to sell it. There's like no rush. But this should be ready to eat in like 1 or 2 days, depending on your preference of texture and flavor. So we've been watching this one for a couple days. It did start to turn yellow yesterday, but we didn't have time to come out here and get it. So I probably could have picked this one yesterday. Still a good time to pick it today. During our peak harvest in October, we were harvesting every other day, getting the new ones that have ripened and not letting them sit too long on the tree. That way when we harvest them, they weren't like starting to get overripe, and then we wouldn't have much time to sell them, or the vendors would have a hard time selling them. Also, as they get more ripe on the tree, they get more delicate. You could see I'm being very gentle with this one. Just a slight touch on any of these spikes here will start to turn them brown, which makes them look maybe less appealing for people to buy. So I always hold them from the bottom like this here. That way all this stuff up here remains looking good. And It's really just an appearance thing. It doesn't really change the flavor, but it does make them look nicer at the market, all yellow. Like I was saying, these are really delicate, so when I set them down, I like to get them kind of lock them in like a puzzle here, so that they're not really moving around once it's full. It's just like kind of they all lock in and not much moving when I take them from here to our vendor or our market. So when are they ripe to eat? We have a few here that I would consider ripe enough to eat, like this one here. You can see it's very yellow. There's even some brown starting to form on it. Spikes are soft on these. I would say definitely eat this one today. If you wait any longer, what starts to happen is they get like really gooey mucosis. Like the fruit inside starts to get like a mucus, and I mean it's all right. Some people prefer it that way, but a lot of people like it more firm. So we had to switch locations. It started sprinkling. Looks like it stopped now, but we're all set up here, so we're gonna roll with it. So this was an example of one that may be ready within 2 to 3 days. It still has a lot of green on it. There's starting to be some yellow in here. That's when you know it's ready to harvest. But definitely not ready to eat yet on this one. This one we're definitely starting to get close to being able to eat it. I would say some people may enjoy it this way. I would probably wait one day, like eat it tomorrow morning. You really want to eat it at the peak of its ripeness, where you get the most flavor and the best texture. Alright, now to show you one that we didn't see and it started to get overripe. It's actually good that we have this one for this video to just show you an example of one that is just overripe. I'm not going to be able to sell this. It's starting to get bug holes in it. It's very soft on the outside. When you press it, you can like go into it. I would say, you know, like a lot of fruits you want that, but with Rollinia, you don't really want to be able to squish into it. Also, these spikes are starting to shrivel up, looking dehydrated, starting to look black. We can actually cut into it to show you guys what the inside looks like. It's probably going to look very translucent and mucousy.
Ew.
So when you open a Rollinia, this is not what you want to see.
Brown.
But I will taste it for you guys. Even though I don't really want to. Alright, we'll eat this little piece right here. I really hate overripe Rollinia.
Why are you doing this to yourself? That's good.
There's actually some maggots in it too.
Ew.
So not the most pleasant Rollinia experience. Like to somebody that never had them before, they may think like, oh, that's not bad. But us having eaten like hundreds by now, we really choose the best ones to eat. And yeah, this one I would not eat. But I could see some people being like, yeah, that's alright. Yeah, you want to see the maggots were in here, down here.
Okay. This is one of the last ripe Rollinias of the season, and it came from this tree. Let's give it a taste. This is the official Rollinia tasting headquarters. So this is the stem. I'm gonna hold it upside down. And then I'm gonna cut it in half down the middle. Wow, look at that. All right, so once you get it cut in half, you can pull out the stem. This is half of the stem. Some people eat the stem, but it's not very good. And then I'm gonna take a little wedge. All right. Should I taste it?
Mm-hmm.
Seeds. It's just like a watermelon, but it tastes totally different. All right, so the consistency is like Jello pudding, and the flavor is like key lime pie. I've never had lemon meringue pie, so I don't know what that tastes like, but they say it's lemon meringue pie. This one definitely has like Granny Smith apple undertones. I shouldn't have had apple pie before eating this. So each wedge has like 10 seeds in it, but there's still a lot of meat in there. And the meat just kind of like dissolves in your mouth. I guess we can call it flesh. You should eat at Rollinia's here all the time. So this one definitely tastes like, has like the appley flavor, like green apple, sour apple. All Rollinias tend to have like a little bit of a sourness to them, and then they also have a sweetness. And then depending on the fruit and just how it grew and how it ripened, it'll be either more sweet or more sour. And some of them will have more of like vanilla undertones or like caramel undertones. So they all kind of vary. This particular tree, we tend to get ones that taste more like appley flavored, and we really like that flavor. It's really nice. We prefer it over the more lemony flavor. And this one's giving sweet tart. I literally haven't had a sweet tart in like 20 years, but that's what it's giving. In terms of consistency too, so this is gonna vary depending on the fruit, the tree that it came from, and the ripeness level. But some of them will be more like puddingy and melt in your mouth, like real like soft and smooth, and some of them will be more like dense and custard like. And I like the dense ones. Sometimes the pudding ones could be a little bit too watery, but then sometimes those ones could also taste really sweet. So there's a whole array of Rollinia, but for the most part, I would say like 9 out of 10 times it's gonna taste pretty good. So try it. Alright, so I hope that this video was helpful to you if you had Rollinia questions. We've been meaning to make this video and put it out there ever since we started harvesting tons of Rollinia in the fall. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next video.
I took a piece that was like maggot free. It looks almost like soursop. It's gonna fall. It's gonna fall.
No.
I knew it. It's gonna fall. You want me to? Let me video you.
This is not going good. I like it. But I couldn't eat all of that. I would puke.
Because of the maggots.
Because it's too much.
Well, that part was good, and then this part right here.
The translucent part is not that great.
Why don't you just try the translucent part?
We're going crazy here, Michael. We would never do this in real life. We're doing it for YouTube. It's good. Oh, there's a maggot! Oh! The maggots always get the best fruit. They make it good. They do something to it to make it taste good.
So that part's good, the translucent?
I like the flavor, but the maggot just puts me off.
What about the texture?
I don't love the texture. It's like eating boogers. The flavor, when it's like a little bit mushed up, it gets like nice. It has a nice like deep sweetness to it. And it's not soury, lemony anymore. But it's just a maggot with boogers. Like that just throws me off.